by the way, I want to introduce our next guest. I want to get to this because, man, this is Dave Harrison, who is in the studios kind of guy. He's my kind of guy as well. I know he's your kind of guy. And he's also a friend of this show, a longtime friend of the show, really likes his work. Lindsay, we can go introductions two ways here. We want to just kind of split this up and tell people about Ryan. We can go paragraph by paragraph. We won't read the entire novel because, man, if we try to give this guy's entire bio before he starts writing,
oh my God,
we're going to be here forever.
It's too much. But why don't I give him an intro and you dive in, because I know you've got like a million questions you're dying. I'm excited to talk to Ryan Pote, who's joining us next. He's not just an author, guys, like far beyond that. He's basically lived 5 different thrillers before writing just the one that he has that we're going to be talking about today. But Ryan Pote, he's a Navy veteran, a helicopter pilot, a rescue commander, a federal investigator, a scuba instructor, and because why not, he's a former bartender and musician.
The second scuba diver we've actually had on the show today, because Jerry Bowers, who opened the show up with us, who drove here from Lafayette, is called Diver Driver because he's a Navy diver.
It's a theme. I'm sensing a theme. So he's seen the world from the sky, from the sea, and behind top secret security clearances. But now he's bringing his wild ride, literally, to the page with his debut thriller called Blood and Treasure, which, by the way, best-selling author Mark Graney, friend of the show, we love you, Mark, shout out, he called it the must-read debut thriller of 2025. No pressure. The book opens with the destruction of the International Space Station.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
Somehow,
I mean, that opening is like, I'm like sitting there thinking about the vastness of space going like, what?
It opens with a gut-wrenching heart sink. Here
it's
we go.
basically Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Exploded Space Station. I mean, it was an unbelievable opening.
That might be trademarked, but it's a good byline. And then it ties it to an ancient scroll. That's all you need to know. We've got action, mystery, space history, everything I need in a good story. Please make welcome to the show our new friend, because, dear Lord, I don't want this guy to be my enemy. Please make welcome Ryan Pote. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning. I was sitting there listening to you guys, and I'm like, wow, I'm so drawn into the show. You guys are having so much fun. I totally forgot that I was on the show, and then you were introducing someone, and I was like, oh, this guy sounds pretty fun. I realized you were introducing me.
Me.
Ryan, and Lindsay and I have had this happen where we've actually, one of the cool things about this show is we get to meet cool people that we want to meet, and sometimes that we listen to. I can't tell you the number of times either Lindsay and I has brought on a guest who does a podcast or is a well-known figure, and they'll start talking, and I'm like, oh, wait, I'm the one that's supposed to ask the question. Hold on a second. I've got to get myself focused in the moment here. I totally dig where you're coming from. By the way, brother, welcome to the show. The book is wonderful.
Thanks.
It is great summer reading. It is great. Sit by the beach. It's great. Send the kids out, buckle up, and go for a ride. And by the way, I'm going to ask the stupid question first. Is there any talk of anybody buying the rights of this darn thing to turn it into a movie?
Of course.
So I can't get into some details.
Great.
But yes.
It's a yes.
Yeah.
Many. Yes, many. There's a director attached to stuff. There's a lot more to this. You know, we got to peel the onion back a little bit, because before I even got published, I wrote 5 books. I wrote a screenplay that's a prequel to this whole series. I wrote 2 other books that are in this series. And everything that I've written is connected in a universe. So now that can of worms has been opened up, there's someone attached to direct the film that's out with. That's a very prominent person that I just don't want to say right now. But there's producers involved and production companies involved, and there's a lot of moving parts. But yes, there's stuff happening. Lots of stuff happening.
And by the way, that expanded universe you guys are talking about, that you're talking about, is something that we talk a lot about on this show, whether it's with Mark, our friend Julian Simpson of the BBC, who created the Lovecraft investigations and the Aldrich Kemp series. I'm a big fan of creating that. One of the things that Mark, Lindsay, and I have talked about is that before he actually got his start, he had his auto yard, as he called it, a series of books that he had finished that had never been published, a series of short stories, and they all were like in the backyard. So that when he went to sit down and get the novel that finally happened, he's able to say,
this one's got bees in it.
He's like, let me just take this piece out of it and this piece out of it and that piece out of it. Talk about your early writing experience and the transition from being in the military and living the life of essentially an American adventurer, which, by the way, no resemblance to Ethan Cain, Talk about that a little bit and the idea of when you finally made the breakthrough from writing every day, which is what you need to do, to actually getting the book published and done. And then we'll talk about I don't want to give away too much of the book. I want to talk about the entire book. We don't want to give away the plot.
We want people to like you so that they get intrigued by the book.
They're going to get intrigued by the book.
Oh, well, thank you.
Tell us about the process of how we arrive at this book by your early writing experiences and how you kind of pull from your life that you've had.
Sure. That was a super deep question, so we'll unpack as much of it. First of all, when you mentioned Mark Graney, you're talking about, I asked him, I got to meet him once when I first joined Berkeley because he's a Berkeley author as well. And he gave me that advice as well about my past work, like using it as like you said, an auto body shop, like pulling parts that I need out of cars, like for things. So yeah, that was fantastic advice. But yeah, I never wanted to be a writer. It was never on my radar. Like I was out living my life and doing what I wanted to do. I went to Hawaii because I wanted adventure. I became a scuba instructor because I hated school. So I was a scuba instructor like 7 days a week, and I kind of went to school on the side. And that's why it took me like 6.5 years to finish college out there because, I'm not a doctor either. So that's, it took me a little while. So I was just having a great time. And then I'd always wanted to be a pilot in the Navy. I wanted, adventure. So I chose the Navy because I thought, get out at sea and all that stuff. I fell into flying helicopters because I got sick all the time flying jets. And then the helicopter mission was a lot more exciting to me. There was a lot going on. I got attached to a counter narcotics unit, and then I just got pigeonholed into doing that. I did 3 deployments doing that stuff, and I got injured and the injury persisted to the point where I couldn't fly anymore. I got grounded, so I couldn't fly, for the military or the FAA anymore. So after 12 years, I was out, and then I became a federal investigator. But when I got out, stopped flying all the time, that's when things started bubbling up for me, personally. You're always on when you're flying a military aircraft. The second you strap in, you're concerned about the young kids that are flying with you, 18, 19, 20 years old in the back. You have this big brother kind of mentality. You just got to be on your game all the time. You don't have time to worry about the daily things of life. It's kind of, you insulate yourself. It's kind of like, I tell people, if you've ever seen that movie For Love of the Game, the baseball movie with Kevin Costner, when he says, clear the mechanism and then he pitches. That's kind of the mentality you have to have when you strap in to any military aircraft, because it's just there's thousands, 10,000 moving parts that can kill you in 3 seconds, and it doesn't get, the aircraft doesn't pick and choose the best time for that to happen, so it could be a sunny Tuesday when you're flying at home, you're just going to work that day and it's blue skies and great day, and the aircraft could just, that could be the day it decides to put you into the ground. So, you're just always on, like anybody who has a dangerous job, first responders, stuff like that. You never know what day it's going to be. So when you stop flying, that's when all of a sudden your mind relaxes, your body relaxes. And that's when the problems start bubbling up, like all those experiences that you've had in the past. So I started dealing with some pretty severe PTSD to the point where I couldn't drive at night anymore. I was having panic attacks. I went from, being a multitasking pilot, can do 18 different things at once and text my wife at the same time, to I couldn't handle more than 2 things at once. And it would make me feel like I was drowning. I was, short fuse temper, a guy who was a scuba instructor in Hawaii. You can imagine how probably chill and relaxed I used to be. And all of a sudden I had this hairpin trigger that, it was starting to affect every aspect of my life, work, everything. So I saw a trauma therapist, and I'd always been a big reader, but never a writer. So the trauma therapist was like, hey, I want you to start journaling your experiences. Every morning, sit down before work and write about all the different things that you did that were dangerous, or that you almost died, or that, you had that you want to reflect on. So I started doing that. And then she wanted me to share them in a group setting, talk about them, say it out loud, that it would help. So I didn't feel comfortable talking about all these drug cartel missions, and some of them I couldn't talk about. So she was like, just fictionalize it. Just change the person's, places, things. The point of the exercise is to talk about your feelings and your emotions. So I did that. I started fictionalizing the journals, and talking about it. And then it kind of created this love of writing fiction. And I was like, well, I'm writing every morning. I might as well try and do something with this. I love it. It's fixing me. It was healing me. And it became this little obsession. And I found out that I had kind of a raw skill for it that needed to be kind of honed. So I just started writing. I wrote 2 books in secret, didn't tell my wife, and then which were Ethan Cain books. And then, that character was kind of born of me, dealing with my issues and stuff. And then I asked my wife one day to read it, and asked her if I should go for this as a job. And she said, yeah. At first she didn't believe me. She was like, okay, whatever, you're writing a book. But then she read it and she was like, I think you've got something here, go for it. So once she said go for it, I mean, that was it. Like my circle got real small. I cut out all my hobbies. I just focused. If it wasn't family, work, or taking care of myself, then it was 100% trying to become a better writer, hone my craft, and get published. And there wasn't a doubt in my mind that I was going to do it until I wrote 5 books, had over 400 rejections, lost an agent, and I literally gave up. And then, once you give up, that's kind of like when God steps in and says, okay, I'll take it from here. And then everything just started happening overnight.
Ryan, I am going to make you laugh so much. I'm going to throw this to Lindsay here in 1 second. You're going to lose it because Lindsay's new show today starts at noon. It's called We Should Write. It's the name of the show is called We Should Write. Is the first is she has Fred LeBlanc of Cowboy Mouth is going to be her first guest. This is crazy, dude. The show what her show is about everything you just said. Yeah. Lindsay, take it away from here. Explain.
No, thank you for teeing up. We'll send you your check in the mail for teeing up the show. You just proved.
You guys sent me the questions beforehand. I swear, no.
Literally, I mean, you just proved my point about the healing power of writing that we don't.
It works.
I'm a songwriter, so I'm coming from it at a different place than you. But but I believe if we don't get our stuff out, we'll get sick or cry in a public place. I have done that second one many times, and so you teed up. You just said it though. I was going to ask you if writing this book was a release for you.
There's your answer. You got it.
I got my answer, so I can move on to my next question. But it's interesting because what you just said, how you were able to do it via fiction. It's kind of like songwriting. My co-writer, I said to him one time, one of my songwriting partners, I said, you don't go to therapy? And he goes, no, I write songs. And I was like, okay, that lands. So same for you. It's like, I mean, you did do the healing work, so good on you for it, but there can be equal means. And so you're doing that. You can kind of, we a year or two ago, we talked with some Vietnam vets as they took them, Passport, a company we work with, took them over to Vietnam. It's the first time they'd been back in 50 years, and they got to see it with their own eyes, reframe it, and for the first time start talking about stuff in a safe space and see that they're okay over there. They've reshaped it anyway, and so they're allowed to rewrite it, which you've done. So you answered my question, but thank you. That's beautiful, and I think sharing stories like this are necessary. It reminds people that veterans are humans and have things to go through as well. You're doing it for entertainment, so we all win. I want to ask you about the scuba diving piece here, because you did that before you went off. Scuba diving, I've never done it. It terrifies me to my core, the idea of it, more than anything, honestly, more than anything in the world, than not being able to fully be in control of my breath, which is why I probably need to do it.
You should go cave diving too, Lindsay.
Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. But I want to ask you that. You were doing it before, and you said when you were going on your healing journey, it felt like you were drowning. Would getting back in the water balance out that feeling? Or what can you say to the scary person, the person scared of scuba diving like me, as far as maybe balancing out your equilibrium, both physically and mentally?
Yeah, like scuba diving, I mean, I'm going to come from a biased place because So I was never really like super comfortable in the water. I had never been out of New England before I went to Hawaii. I just wanted to go adventure. And when I got there, I had an opportunity to take a scuba diving class. And I was like, well, I came here to adventure. Like, I'm going to do everything adventurous. So it was kind of like fake it till you make it. Like, oh, heck yeah, I was nervous. Like,
story of our life.
And I took the class and I wasn't good at it. And I kind of like panicked underwater. And I remember my diving instructor who later became my boss, like stayed after with me after the class to like help me pass the skill because I couldn't take my mask off under the water without absolutely freaking out. And, it's funny though, you just kind of like figure out how to do it. And the instructors will help you get calm in the water because you're afraid of everyone's afraid of drowning. Everybody reacts the exact same when they suck in a little water it doesn't matter how much skill you have or experience you have. Everybody acts the same way. It's just human nature. But once you kind of understand it, you just don't fear. You fear what you don't know. Once you know it, you get comfortable under there. You understand how to use the equipment. You understand the basic science of diving. It's so enjoyable because it's like meditating. You're breathing at this like constant rhythmic rate. So and then when you go down deeper, the partial pressure of oxygen, it gets more dense. So with every breath, you're actually breathing more oxygen. So you're like hyperoxygenating your body and you're breathing slowly. And you're not talking to anybody. You're
Love
not
that.
like, you have no phone. So you're out with people in a social environment, but you're under the water for like 30, 40 minutes, depending on what kind of dive you're doing. And you're not talking, you're just together. And then like you just
like the silent disco of the sea.
You can't have quick have quick hand signals either. That's really crucial. You can't be like you're so waving.
Yes, everything is slow and calm and you're just gliding around and you're just doing this meditative breathing. And then when you come out, you feel great because you've been in, there's all this science about cold water immersion now. Like, so you've been kind of chilly and you come out and all of a sudden you're in the sun. And you typically dive in like really nice weather, nice places. So and then all of a sudden you just want to talk to everybody you're with about what you just did. So it ends up being this great social, because it's kind of funny you're not talking, but it becomes this great social thing afterwards. So I love scuba diving. I think it's fantastic. I think stuff under the water is just fascinating when you see it. It's incredible to watch. It just makes you feel good. And, I love being underwater. I think it's great.
By the way, the way he described this is a pretty good description of what it's like to get immersed in blood and treasure, which is the new thriller. You like that, by the way? Nicely done.
Nice
by the way, Ryan Pote, POTE.com. You can find him on the Book of Face at Ryan Pote Books. You can find him on the gram of Insta at Ryan Pote Books. It goes on and on with X and Goodreads as well. I do want to let people know if there's an audio book out for obvious reasons. We have so many over-the-road truck drivers who listen to us. Is the audio book out yet? And are you happy with the way it was read?
Yeah, so I was very involved in the process. We had 8 auditions and I don't want to mention who I didn't pick, but there were some of the biggest.
But you know who you are.
Yeah. There were some of the biggest names out there, but I went with a man named William Demerit. He's an actor.
He's great.
A stage-trained Shakespeare actor. He is absolutely fantastic, and what he did with this book is incredible. I was there for some of the recording. Like I said, I was very involved. Bill and I are friends now. He did fantastic. And if you get a chance to listen to the audiobook, it's really, really, really well done.
I just want to kind of get back to the book here for a second as well, too, to make sure that people, and by the way, if you don't know who William Demerit is, you know who William Demerit is. The moment he's one of those guys, you'll see his picture and go, oh yeah, that guy.
Yep.
I wanted to kind of talk about the kind of writing that you do, because it's really important for people to understand. I'll give people an example. It's later on in the book. There were no lights illuminating the runway or the taxiways or the ramp at the makeshift jungle airfield, just inky blackness like the void of space. In the distance, Ethan Cain could hear the distinct whine of what he knew to be twin-engine turboprops purring idly on a pair of de Havilland Dash 8 aircraft. Boom, done. And then it goes on with some more technical stuff. This kind of technical writing is often fascinating because you've got to establish place and a sense of romance before you dig into the techno stuff. And it's not techno babble, guys, by the way. The stuff is right. This is a guy who knows of what he speaks. Talk to me a little bit about the balance in writing, about how you kind of achieve a sense of place with a sense of mystery, while at the same time letting your audience know, oh, no, I know exactly what I'm talking about from a technological standpoint. I think you know what I'm talking about when I ask that question, correct?
I think I do. I think you're trying to like, if people out there have read, they marketed this as kind of like a military thriller, but it's really not. And like I said, it was hard for them to market this book. So like Clancy, like he wasn't in the military, he didn't experience these things, so he has to lean on research. And then his books were like, the birth of techno thriller, but they would just dump information. It's 6 pages about how to turn a submarine or something like that. It's really, really stuff that I would glaze my eyes over and I wouldn't be able to keep reading. So I don't like that kind of stuff. I have a short attention span. Mm-hmm. So anytime I'm writing about something, I always go lean is best. So if I'm sitting down to write something, I don't actually cut anything from my books. I actually add. I write so lean in my first draft, second draft, that I have to go back through and be like, okay, this needs more of the detail, because I just kind of get the story on the page first, and that's usually void of a lot of the details, which I think is better because it lends to the style of what you're saying. So then I can go back through with a precision eye and say, okay, right here I need to add in a little more detail. But I tend to just try and write from my own personal experience and how I would perceive a situation. So, and I think that's what you're getting at, is like it feels immersive and it gives you kind of some depth to the details that I'm explaining, because I'm explaining it how I remember it or how I know it. So I try and do that. I try and lean into what I know. So if I know about something a lot, I tend to just, what I say, like, let my fingers fly. So like when I'm talking about flying, or I'm talking about diving, or I'm talking about, something I've seen in the military, I tend to just let myself go and write as much about it as I know. And I try and write it like I was telling my wife about it.
Yeah, and let me really quickly point out to our listeners again, because this is such a cool thing. No lights, runway, jungle airfield, inky blackness, void of space, distinct wine. And all of those descriptives come up before you ever hit to the de Havilland Dash 8. And I think that is such a cool way of doing it. The idea of,
oh, well, thank you.
Let me give people a blanket of darkness and mystery, and then introduce the sound of that wine. And then and only then, because Ethan knows what he hears, he knows what it is. And that's a really cool thing. Lindsay's got one more for you.
I got a quick lightning round for you. If this book had a walkout song, what would it be?
Nicely done.
Thank you.
If it had a walkout song?
Yeah. What would this book listen to get pumped up to walk on the field?
You can change
probably Fortunate Son.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that coming, but that's good. That's good.
Credence.
And what's harder, landing a helicopter or getting an ending to a fictional book like this?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm gonna throw you a curveball. They're the same, because when you're flying a helicopter, you get so good at it that like your body is moving independent of your action. It's just subliminally moving. Like all your hands and feet are going wild. Like in training, they tell you to look down once you're hovering stable. They're like, hey, look down. And you look down at your hands and feet, and they're moving like crazy.
Oh my God.
And you're like, what? I'm standing still. Like, I don't even know. It's just your body's just doing it. And like at this point in writing, it's kind of the same thing. Like I already know the ending of the book while I'm writing. So when you get to the end, it's just like a soft touchdown, because you've been preparing for, 368 pages for that last page. So,
well, Ryan, we just got to the end. You nailed it at the end. We looked down and our interview's over. Please come back. You're amazing.
Back. Will you come back?
I'm going to be in New Orleans for BoucherCon, September 4th, 5th, 6th.
Come in studio.
If you guys want, I'll come in.
Done.
On September 5th. I'm free all day.
By the way, my wife, who's our programming coordinator, is listening. They will, in fact, book you. We'll get you on Blood and Treasure, by the way. It's got a little bit of space, got a whole lot of action, got a little bit of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Lots of groovy stuff is going on in it. Blood and Treasure. Ryan Pote, Pote. You can find him at ryanpote.com. Best of luck. Congratulations on all of your continued success. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. This was a fun interview. See you guys in September.
Yay.
Yes, sir.